Now, people pleasing is oftentimes an overlooked fault that we can have in toxic relationships. People pleasing oftentimes keeps us strung along in these relationships with narcissistically abusive people up until the point where we've absolutely had enough and we put our foot down and we then start cutting everybody off and out of our lives once we realize what's been taking place and how toxic the relationship is. But if we can look at our nature and desire to want to be people pleasers and learn to manage this in a better way so that we can start to win small victories in all of our relationships, then we will see narcissistic abuse in our lives disappear because we will not allow ourselves to be dragged along in toxic relationships. My name is Kevin, and this is The Royal We. Now, when we talk about people pleasing, we're talking about that desire to make sure other people are happy, to give people the benefit of the doubt, to overlook their slights, to overlook little things here and there, and just love, right? That's the people pleasing motivation right there. Just love everybody, right? That's what we learn in Sunday school. Just love. And toxic people, narcissistically abusive people, users, abusers, manipulators, they sniff out people pleasers like sharks can sniff out blood in the water. They really can. And the reality is because they love that because they're being served. And people pleasers ultimately are people who like to serve. There's nothing wrong, I should say. There's nothing wrong with having the heart of a servant. There's nothing wrong with wanting to serve your brothers and sisters. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. That's a good attribute to have in this life. But what's wrong is to allow that to be abused and used and manipulated, which is oftentimes what happens in toxic relationships. And when the red flags start to show up in these toxic relationships, these are places and moments and things that take place from a narcissist in time that tend to get overlooked because of the people-pleasing mentality. And so what we need to do is manage this a whole lot better. We need to learn how to have small victories. So instead of letting even the smallest of things slide because we want to make sure everybody's happy, we need to confront even the littlest things, like being able to say, hey, that wasn't right what you just said. Or please don't do that around me. Or please don't cuss around me. Or don't do this. And we need to handle these things at the moment. These are called small victories. We need to be okay with having small victories. You see, the problem with being a people pleaser is not having the heart of the servant. That's not the problem. The problem is not knowing how to say no. The problem is not knowing how to stand up in the moment at the right time to turn off that desire to make somebody else feel good and instead confront an issue right away in a way that says, I'm not going to deal with that. That's a small victory. Or another way of not being a people pleaser is standing up in a way that just puts you in control of who you are in your own time. Just being able to say no. Again, when we talk about toxic people, they love people pleasers because you'll do whatever they say. If they call you and say, hey, I want to come over and hang out, watch a movie, Netflix, chill, whatever. And typically you say, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, come on over because you're a people pleaser and you want to serve them and you want to make sure they're happy. But a small victory would look like this, you saying, no, not today, I'm busy. Even if you're really not busy, just say it, no. Just get in the practice of saying no. Now, this is a small victory. Now, why are small victories so important in any relationship? And how will the small victories keep you out of toxic relationships and out of narcissistic abuse? Well, listen, abuse is progressive. This is true. How many of you are aware that narcissistic abuse, domestic violence, it's progressive? But you know what else is progressive right underneath the abuse? The people pleasing. It's also progressive. As you let things slide, then you let things slide even more, and then slide more, and then slide more. This is how it works until it finally gets to the point where you've had enough and you stomp your foot and say, I'm done, get out, no contact. to block them on all social media, block them, which is fine. That's good. That's what no contact is. That's shutting them out right away. But I want to challenge you to think about something. What if it was a way where it didn't have to get to that point? Well, this would look like winning small victories, which looks like instead of being a people pleaser, win the small victories of being in control. Practice saying no. Practice standing up at the right time, at the right moment. And watch what happens. You won't notice toxicity and you won't notice narcissistic abuse. It won't take place because here's why. You will gain the respect of those other people. What choice do they have when you tell them no? Right away. Well, they won't know you enough to combat you. Say, okay. Right away, they'll have that respect for you. Oh, can't go there with that person. And this is how you need to be. These are the small victories. It's not being mean. It's not being rude. It's just managing people pleasing to where you have small victories and then you never notice narcissistic abuse because it doesn't get to that point. It doesn't get close. It doesn't build up because your people pleasing is not building up. Does this make sense to you? This is very important to understand. Listen, I'm surrounded by narcissists daily, just as you are. But I don't take on narcissistic abuse anymore because each day I am no longer living in a place where I'm just people pleasing. I say what I need to say. I'm responsive. I say no. I let my yes be yes, my no be no. But what I noticed about the toxic relationship that I came out of is I wasn't like that. I took the red flags and I ignored them. I tried to be nice and courteous about what I was feeling and what I was partaking in. And it built up and built up and built up until finally I had to say, I've had enough. And it's too late once you reach that point with certain individuals, especially narcissists. It's too late to stomp your foot, go no contact, and then try to win small battles. You can't because now you've changed completely who you are with them. And now it's very divided and now it's just a fight, right? This is why managing people pleasing has to be done at the beginning of each relationship from the get-go. So let's stop with just the straight up people pleasing, even though it's a servant's heart, which is what you have, keep that. But let's do a better job at managing that. Win small battles throughout all relationships. Things like saying no. Things like saying, don't talk to me like that right away. If you can do this, you'll avoid narcissistic abuse and you'll avoid toxic relationships. I want to be a part of your healing journey. Down below, you can schedule one-on-one time with me. In the description box, you can find the links to one-on-one coaching. We can do a telephone consultation, a FaceTime, or WhatsApp, or you can even request a video. Also, down below, you'll find links to Royal We Life Chat. That's the live community. We come together. Be a part of that where you can have your questions answered. And every Saturday morning is Royal We Fellowship. This is an in-depth Bible study as it pertains to our understanding of this narcissistic and toxic world we live in. You can find all the links down below in the description box. So head on down there, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you can get the next video and be notified. And I'll be back with more videos right here on the Royal We.